Hi guys, welcome back to Born Poor Die Rich. My name is Daniel, and today I'm going to share with you what are the top 3 mistakes that people make when investing in property overseas. And I totally understand the attraction of investing overseas because here where we live in Singapore, properties are so expensive, and there's also been lots of cooling measures that make it very prohibitive to invest. For example, stamp duties. Before you even invest, you're already paying tens of thousands in just tax. And that is what precisely led my wife and I, more than 8 or 9 years ago, to start looking to invest overseas as well. And I'm glad to say it hasn't been an easy journey. With its own set of challenges. But today we've been transacting in more than millions of pounds worth of property, and we've built out a successful property portfolio in the UK, and it generates for us a passive income every month. But it wasn't all nice and dandy, and it wasn't always that way. When we first started investing way back in 2011, we actually got involved in this property, which is actually in Penang. And all of us know how the bridge from the mainland to Penang Island in the north resulted in a huge boom in Georgetown, and they were building a bridge to the south, and it would connect the island to the mainland as well. So this infrastructure going in. At the same time, this area that we were told to invest in, the airport is there as well, so it's going to be up and coming. And we looked at this development. It was amazing. It's 20 floor. We bought a unit actually on the 20th floor, sea view all around, and it's a 3-bedroom condominium that is there. So fantastic, and we thought that in the next 3 to 5 years, capital growth is going to be there. Everybody would love to live that kind of lifestyle, retire there. It's like a retirement haven. Fast forward now, almost 8 or 9 years later, we are still holding on to the property. We can't sell it even if we wanted to sell it at a loss, because the capital appreciation nor the development in the area has caught up with the promise of that capital appreciation. At the same time, we wanted to rent it out, and we struggled to rent it for almost 3 years before we finally rented out this year. But that's not the end of the story, because imagine the mortgage that we are paying out on this property. It's almost 6,000 ringgit a month. Guess how much is my rental income every month? It's only 1,600 ringgit, which converted to Singapore dollars, it probably can get you a tiny room rental. But I'm renting out this 1,700 square feet condominium. And I'm subsidizing my tenants to enjoy this seafront lifestyle. So it was a really painful lesson that I learned right at the start of my investing journey that made me realize, it's not just about getting started in investing. You want to make sure that you get started in the right direction, following people who are already where you want to be. So the first of the 3 tips is this, that I've discovered, that you must be really careful when you want to buy new built properties. In fact, my advice is not to look at new built properties, because firstly, these tend to be more expensive than the properties in the surrounding areas. There's a risk of the property being built up halfway, and the developer just can't complete the deal, and you're just left with a half finished building. And the third thing is, in terms of these units, it tends to be very small. It could be a studio, and I know of friends who send me deals like, hey, Dan, I heard of this opportunity in the UK. The developer guarantees us this amount of return in terms of rent. What do you think? And I look at it, it's like either a studio, or it could even be a hotel room. You're getting more and more creative, or some form of service accommodation. But for the same price, you could buy a much larger unit, either a much larger flat or even a house that is in a similar area in that part of the UK. So to me, it's why would I, instead of buying a house, buy a small hotel room? And the next thing is, once this large unit is built, there's going to be a huge oversupply of exactly the same type of units into the market. And what do you think that's going to do with rent? Right? Simple economics in terms of oversupply and with a limited or questionable demand in the area. So that's the first tip. Don't buy new builds. Look at what is existing property in the area. Very often it gives you a much better return and yield, and you can get much more property for the same price. The second tip that I have for you is in terms of exit options. So you might want to write this down. You make sure that whenever you invest in property, you must have at least 2 exit options. And back to the idea of buying a small hotel room, if you think of wanting to sell it, who could you sell the property to? It would be too small for a family to live in, and the locals probably wouldn't want to invest in something like that or to live in that kind of area. So that's the first challenge of the exit. Think about when you sell, are you selling to, is there a large number of people who want to buy a unit like that, or are you only limited to investors as part of your selling exit? The second exit is in terms of rentals. So are you able to rent it out to the market at large? What kind of rates are you going to get from the market if you were to rent it out on your own? After that period of, some developers might promise a 2 or 3 or 5 year, maybe 6, 8, or even 10% returns. But all these promise of returns, a good check of your due diligence is to see after that period is over, what is the rent that you can get from the open market, and if it's going to be at the same level that you have been promised previously. And I think I've done quite a number of searches on similar projects. Very often the rent that the developer says they will get versus what you can actually achieve in the market is very different, where the promise is here and what you achieve is here. So I wouldn't say it's a bad investment, but take a look and do your own due diligence and calculate your returns based on what you can realistically achieve. And the third thing I would like to share is really about how you can invest for passive income instead of capital appreciation. So a lot of people tell me, Dan, what do you think about investing in Cambodia, Vietnam, and a lot of these emerging countries, because it's up and coming, and it's all intertwined, right? Firstly, you think about the locals there. There's no chance that they can rent such a property from you. It's probably going to be an expat strategy where you invest in an area. There's some expats working in the area. However, to me, that's a really risky strategy as well in terms of rentals. The moment the company is not doing well, the expats get sent home. Who do you think is going to rent those properties? And secondly, who is going to buy those properties? The locals won't be able to afford it. So once again, you're looking at investors. So let me leave you with a bonus tip, which is you want to look at what are common properties for common people. So those are my 3 tips for you. If you like what I've shared, click the subscribe button over here. All right, and also visit our website, www.bornpoordirich.com. I will be hosting a seminar where you get an opportunity to spend a full day with me in March this year. So if you're interested, do sign up at the link at the bottom, and I'll be in touch with you very soon. See you soon.